Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode here at the Portcast. Today, we have a special guest with us today, and he's going to tell us about himself and his story, hopefully to motivate those who may be in a situation that he was in years ago. Do you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Daniel Heredia, once known as D Nice.
Okay, and where you're from? Where did you grow up?
Well, I'm born in Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island. Moved to New Haven. I was living in New Haven on the hillside section for most of my life and running back and forth at the later years to P.T. Barnum in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and just moving back and forth, Bridgeport to New Haven.
Okay, and as a kid, was both your mom and dad in the house?
No, my father was not in the house. We had my mother and our stepfather, but my real father died when I was young.
Okay, and how was your upbringing?
Well, my upbringing, we out there in the hillside of New Haven, my mother, 7 of us. So, my mother struggling, but made it happen for us, We was out there down, sometimes just rice, this regular story, man. We was poor, man. We didn't have our father. Our mother was around, stepfather on drugs, so he wasn't much help for nothing. So, just struggling with my mother.
Okay, and how far did you go in school? Did you finish high school?
Nah, I ain't finished high school. I left probably the end of the 6th grade, early 7th grade.
Okay, and when would you say the shift in your life changed?
Oh man, the shift in my life, man, changed very young. Watching my mother go through what she go through and me not having what we wanted or needed or what we thought we needed, because we had what we needed, but we wanted, all the Adidas and the Pumas. So, my moms couldn't do it. So I hit the streets hard at the age of 12, 13.
Okay, and at that time, were there any resources to keep you on the right path, such as family, church, community centers, maybe sports, or a mentor?
Well, they didn't have much of that when we was growing up. When we was growing up, we looked up at the older dude that had the Benzes, and we didn't have Michael Jordan. We had the dude with the Benzes and the gold chains, and that's what we looked up to. It wasn't no role model or people taking us to gyms or parks or playing ball or none of that. We didn't see none of that. Ours was regular fish from the corner and Dave from the other corner doing their thing.
Okay, and what type of negative activities were you engaged in?
Oh man, as a kid I did almost everything. I was always breaking car windows, breaking bottles. 12 years old, I started selling marijuana and just kept selling marijuana. I go to jail, go to Long Lane, escape, go right back on the block the same day. Mom's upset, crying, because she don't know what to do with me. I'm 12, 13 years old in the streets practically from morning to morning. I done caught assaults with firearms, assaults with weapons, I done bats,
Okay, so you mentioned earlier wants and needs. So let's just talk about that just a little bit, and not to justify the negative things that you did, but do you think you did those things out of need or want?
I did it out of want because, again, what we needed, we had. We had sneakers on our feet. We had pants, jackets, but, that's not what we wanted. We wanted everything name brand. We was being selfish to our parents because our parents would give us what we need. We didn't want that. We wanted the name brand stuff. So, for me to get what I wanted, I had to get it myself.
Okay, and so eventually all the things that you were doing eventually caught up to you. In what way did it catch up to you?
Oh man, in the physical way, I've been in jail all my life. Practically, I've been in jail, in and out of jail since I was 12, 13 years old. And I know more about jail than I know about the streets. I know how to live better in jail than I know how to live in the streets. It impacted me big because, like, again, I was comfortable. They took my whole childhood. Well, I took my whole childhood. Took my whole childhood, my teenage years to, like, I was never around. My brothers never could see me, my sisters. It affected everybody. We always think it affects us, but no, it affects our whole household. And it had a big impact in me, man, what happened with me.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that not only does it affect them as far as doing time, but your family had to do that time with them as well.
Yes, they do, and it took me a long time to realize that. It took me a long time to understand why my mother's crying. I'm the one in jail. And those are the attitudes that we have. I'm the one in jail. Why they crying every time they come see me, or if I call, they get, because we don't realize the effect that has on our family, our brothers, our sisters. We don't realize that our absence is needed, especially to your mother. We don't understand, we don't realize the pain and the suffering that we put them through, because we on our own selfish minds. We doing what we feel we have to do to survive, and it's all about us, and forget what our families go through. We not hurting them in any type of way. Those are our way of thinking at that time.
And so your last stint in jail was when?
I got arrested in 1998. They held me until 2000, and that's when the feds picked me up in 2000. And I didn't come home till 2018.
And what was you charged with?
I was charged with possession with intent to distribute 1,000 grams or more of heroin. I was charged with violent crimes in aid of racketeering. I was charged with a murder in the state, which they tried to make it federal, but they couldn't. They charged us with, it was 22 counts, like crack indictment, coke. It was a 22 count indictment where they didn't even have a bag.
And off of those indictments, how much time was you sentenced to?
I was sentenced to a mandatory term of life. I had a life sentence in the federal system, and yeah, that's what it was.
So what went through your mind when you heard that you were going to be given a life sentence?
Oh man, listen, everything went through my mind. Like, I couldn't believe that this was happening. I couldn't believe that finally it was over. Like, I was done. I was gonna do the rest of my life in jail. Like, you start thinking about everything you didn't think about before. You start praying to God when you once said you don't believe in God. You catch everything. Everything hits you at that moment in time. Your kids are gone. Your girlfriend, if you had a girlfriend, is gone. Your mother, family, everything is gone. Everything is stripping away from you, even your dignity.
And what was your first night in prison after getting a life sentence? What was that like?
Oh, you sitting there, ain't no sleeping, ain't no, you blank, your mind is gone, you cry, you laugh, you try to shake it off, it's your life as you knew it is over with. So, everything hits you at one time, like all emotions hit you at one time.
So while you're doing this life bid, was there anything that happened to change your way of thinking, your mind frame?
Well, to be honest with you, when you're doing a life sentence and, they put you in those maximum security prisons, you live in that moment. You have to live the life that's going on in there. Yeah, there was things that I went through personally as far as, my way of thinking and what could I done different if it's a lot of what ifs. That's what we all go through. what if I would have did this? What if I never did this? What happened to me happened later on, like literally, like I say 16 years later, I met a girl like that, cause I wouldn't allow no visits. I didn't want no visits but my kids. But later on my bed, I met a lady, church lady, and she started coming to see me and showed me a different way by prayer. And that's when I started thinking differently. That's when I started telling myself, everything I tried never worked for me. So let me try the truth. What is the truth? To me, God is the truth. No matter what God you serve, you could call him Allah, you could call him Jesus, you could call... God to me is God, so that's the truth. And I started praying, and that's when I started seeing things differently.
Okay, and so when you had a different mind frame, did you ever think that you would come home?
No, at these times, I still never thought about coming home because for whatever reason, they kept denying all our motions, all our appeals. It was just one denial after another. And at that moment, you know, to me, it's over. You don't physically stop fighting, but mentally, you be like, it's over. I'm gonna live this life in here. I never thought that a door would open for me. I just thought it was over. This is my life as I know it.
Okay, and so you got sentenced to a life sentence, and off that life sentence, how much time did you do?
I did 20 years and 6 months.
So, so you got your original sentence reduced. What did that mean for you?
Oh man, when I got that sentence reduced, it meant my life, a whole new life, a changed person, a new way of living, and I got my life back. Like it was that serious.
Okay. Now, do you believe all the negative things you did in the community that now you had to somehow attempt to make things right within the community?
Well, you know, I live with a burden. Yes, I live with a burden that, you know, I did a lot to destroy our community, whether it was New Haven, whether it was Bridgeport, because we was pushing that poison everywhere. And also the assaults, the murders, everything that took place. You know, I have a burden with me. So yes, I believe that my purpose from here on out is to, if I could just save one kid at a time, I'm saving myself.
So a majority of the people who've done time, when they come home, they find it difficult to adjusting to the outside world. And maybe that's because there's a lack of support. Would you agree with that?
Yes, there's a lot of things that people fight with, you know, and adjusting is it's something that we have to do. We have to, especially those of us that's been in jail 5, 10, because things change in a year. So, but if you've been in jail that long, 15, 20, 30 years, and you isolated, you by yourself or with few people, because a lot of us like to stay to ourselves. So coming out here in a world that's moving so fast, yeah, it's hard to adjust.
And how did you go about getting that support?
Well, I got that support again from this beautiful lady that now is my wife, like, cause her name is Yakira, and I got that support from her and the new people that I started meeting through her, which was church people, you know, people that's really cared and was very sincere about helping and supporting.
Okay. And now you also are a part of another support organization, From Quicksand to Solid Ground. How did that help you, being a part of a group like that?
Oh, Quicksand to Solid Ground, man. Let me explain Quicksand to Solid Ground to me. Like, at first, you know, Nelson Bernard, he kept asking me, yo, you need to come to this. You need to come to this. This could help you. Because me and him was always in contact, and he knows that, you know, I isolate myself. I had a routine, like if I was in jail, wake up at 4:30, work out, do this. You know, you keep a routine, and I was doing the same thing out here. And me and him always was in communication. I know since I was a kid. So he was like, man, come, just come, just come. And you know, I was doing all these other groups, Project Save the Neighborhood. I'm doing a reentry program in New Haven. I'm speaking for them. And I made it my business to go one day. And it's different. Like, that's a platform where anybody, no matter what walk of life you had, that's where you belong. Because there's so much power in that room with every single individual that's in there. Because whatever you going through, somebody in there done went through it. And they're gonna give you something that's gonna help you. Because we all go through the same thing. You know, some of us is different. Some of us, you know, was on drugs. Some of us was jail. Some of us homeless. But no matter what it is, you went through something. And there's somebody in that room that's gonna help you. You get to release it. You get to let it out. You know, they allow you to let it out. You gotta yell, but you letting it out. So that was important to me. So when I first went, I started hearing the brothers speaking. It encouraged me to get up and speak, because now there's a platform, there's brothers that understand me. Because when I came home, there was a lady in front of me, and she asking me about what I've been through, but she's reading it from a book. You're never gonna understand from a book. You gotta go through what we went through in order to understand it. You were never gonna learn from a book and try to explain how I'm feeling to me. So them brothers lived it. It's not a book. They've been through it. Some of them far worse than me, but they did it. So now we have a platform where we go and we release. We let it go. We talk to each other. And somebody, man, I don't know half of the dudes in there, and I done been hugged already by a lot of them. And a lot of us need that. We didn't have that growing up. You know, a lot of us didn't have that. So that was quicksand and solid ground. If you coming home and you need any type of support, if you need food, it's there. You need clothing, it's there. You need a job, if we can't do it, we're gonna assist you with somebody. We're gonna plug you in with somebody that's gonna help you. If you need to talk to a pastor, it's there. We there for everybody.
Okay. And when you're out doing this good work in the community, what's the gratification for you?
The gratification for me is watching these kids take the message in, even those that you think is joking around, even those that you think, I enjoy watching these kids, feeding these kids, telling these kids, even though they got a mother or father, telling these kids, yo, we love you. If you need to speak, talk to any one of us, we here. Telling their mother, if your son is going through something, we here. Call one of us. That's what makes me happy. I'm not here for money. I don't get paid for nothing that I do, and I really don't want it. Don't want to get paid. I do this because I owe a debt to these society. I owe them a debt. I helped destroy it, so now I'm gonna help build it back up. And if you ask for money, then it's not a debt. You're doing it for money. I'm not doing it for money.
Any last parting words for people who may be heading down the wrong path or maybe just coming home? What would you say to them?
First, for those that's coming home, I ask you to, if you've been in jail, no matter how long, ask for help. There's people out here that's gonna help you. There's programs out here to help you. Got brothers with organizations that's gonna help you. Don't feel that you're alone. Don't think you have to do it by yourself. And always reach out to somebody, because we all need a shoulder to lean on coming home. We all need that helping hand. Don't be proudful. Don't let the pride get in your way, because they stole our pride when we went to jail, man. Out here, you got different organizations, different movements that's built out here to help you. Seek that help. For the kids or the young ones that's doing what y'all doing out here, thinking that the eye in the sky ain't watching, please, brothers, man, put the guns down. Leave the drugs alone. Find your way. Sports, rapping, jobs. That's where it's at. Don't lose your life in these streets like a lot of us did. It's not worth it. It's not about nothing. This is where you belong. This is where you can make something out of yourself. Not in jail. Jail is not for the original people. It's not a normal way of living. They treat you like an animal, and that's what you are, an animal in a cage. So please, brothers, put the guns, the drugs alone, and let's live righteously, bro.
All right, Danny, I'd like to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to come here and talk to the viewers about your journey. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me here, and I appreciate everything you do for the community.